So everybody knows that taking the hardtop off of your Jeep is very difficult when you don't have a soft top to switch over to in the summer months. Not to mention, you do need another person and it's very heavy and big and you have to find somewhere to store it. This Lang Originals crank hoisted top is going to be the easiest and a very safe and convenient way to get the hardtop up off of your Jeep. Now, I would like to mention that you will need a 7-foot ceiling or taller in order to use this, and you need room to park the Jeep underneath the hoist. So this system is going to consist of 2 different working pieces. You're going to have your frame, which is going to hold your hardtop, and then you're going to have your crank, which will be like a manual winch that will lift your hardtop up and off of your Jeep. So let's start by assembling the frame. So now that we have all of our frame parts on our table, we can go ahead and assemble our frame. And these will just clip in. So I would like to mention that these holes on the actual frame are specific to if you have a 2-door, a 4-door JK, or a TJ. So the hardtop that we're using is for a 2-door JK, so we're gonna slide our arms farther in to be able to line up correctly on our smaller hardtop. So if you have a 4-door JK, you can leave it at this outer hole, or if you have a TJ, you can leave it there, but we are going to push it in farther for our 2-door. And then the same goes with the rear. There are going to be 2 holes. If you do have a 2-door JK, you want to push it into the second hole. If you have a 4-door or a TJ, you're going to leave it at that last hole. So now we can start putting all of the extra pieces on our frame. So I would like to mention that these are not styrofoam. These are actually parts for this. They're going to be bumpers that are going to allow your hardtop not to touch against your T-tops or against this metal frame. So they're important, don't throw them out. So you're gonna take the smaller portion of the styrofoam and slide it through. It's gonna have a little slit to allow it to go fully through. And this is for when you have your T-tops on top. So with the white styrofoam, you're also gonna get a set of round bumpers. These are also gonna be for your T-tops to not allow it to hit the frame. So you can just slide those on the outer arms. And you want to make sure that we put these on first, because once you get your hooks on there, you won't be able to get your bumpers on. You will be able to adjust where they sit though. You're going to have 2 on each side. And then we can put this last styrofoam piece on at the end, since it does come in 2 pieces. So after those are on, we can start attaching our hooks so we can hang our hardtop. So the hole at the end of the arm here is going to be for your hook. So all you have to do is insert that through. So before we put on our nylon nut, we do need our strap here with 2 grommets. This is going to be able to hold onto our hook as well as attach our bungee cord to, which will hold down our T-tops while they're placed on our foam bumpers. So you're going to thread on your lock nut. And then you're going to need a 9/16 deep socket to tighten that down. So you want to make sure that your hook as well as your little nylon strap is facing the inside of the frame. And you can adjust that at the end while your nut is snug. So once that's snug down, we can take our end cap and pop that in and move over to the other side. So these aren't going to tighten down all the way, and the reason for that is because you're going to want to be able to swivel it around and adjust the strap as well as adjust the hook so you can get it positioned correctly on the hardtop. But you do want them pretty snug. So after attaching the 2 front hooks, we can attach our last hook. This is going to be your smart hook. So when you raise your top up in the air, this is going to allow your glass to stay shut. Now you can slide this piece under, and you will be able to adjust this. Now you can put your lock nut on there. And you can tighten that down with the same 9/16 inch socket. After you're done tightening that down, you can place your end cap on the end. Now our last step is to install the larger portion of the foam, and this will go at the back end. All you have to do is connect these together. And this foam piece is going to support your T-tops while they're sitting on top of your hardtop. So now that we're finished assembling our frame, we can move over and install our crank and pulley system. So obviously we do not have a garage, but we still want to show you a basic overview of how to install this pulley system. So once you find the studs in your ceiling, you're going to attach a board in between them with 2 screws on either side, and then you're going to attach another one 34 inches back. After you're finished with your 2 ceiling mounts, you're going to want to move to the back wall where it meets the ceiling to mount your 3rd pulley mount, and you're going to want that to mount across 3 studs and install 6 screws. So your next step is going to be mounting up your crank system. You want to measure 50 inches up from the floor and mount a board in between 2 studs to mount up your crank. So in order to mount this up, we need to access the back end. So you need to remove this crank pulley. You're going to need an 11/16 open-ended wrench and a 9/16 inch socket. So now that we've removed our pulley system from our crank, we can mark and drill 1/4 inch pilot holes. So now we can install our crank system with the provided lag bolt and washer with a 14mm socket. After everything is bolted up, we can reinstall our crank pulley. After our crank pulley is reinstalled, we can go ahead and install our handle using a 19mm socket. So now we're going to install our double pulley above our crank system with the 4 provided screws. So now after installing our double pulley, we can go ahead and install our single ceiling pulleys. So we want to make sure that our first pulley away from the wall is in line with this outer pulley. So we're going to use our tape measure and use the stud as a reference. So this measures 3 inches out from the middle of the stud. We're going to go back to our first mounting point and measure roughly 3 inches out from the center of the stud and mark our hole. So same thing goes with this pulley as the last pulley. We're going to use our 4 provided screws and drill into the center. You want to double check your measurements and make sure everything lines up. Now we can mark for our second pulley a 1/2 inch over from the wall. We can use our reference point as 3 inches and move a 1/2 inch over. So Lang Originals is going to provide you 43 feet of steel cable. So the steel cable is going to be strong enough to hoist your very heavy hardtop up and be able to store it in the air with no problem at all. So before we put this on the crank system, we're going to measure this out to 20 feet and mark our length. So in order to simplify measuring out our very long cable, we measure the length of our table and it's approximately 5 foot long. So we're going to take 4 sections of this cable and then mark it off. So one side of your cable is going to be 20 feet and the other is going to be 23. You want to make sure that you have the 20-foot side in your hand so you can feed it through this bottom circular hole until your tape mark. So now we're going to take the same side of that 20-foot line and feed it through this bottom square hole. now we're gonna take the 23-foot side and thread it through that top square hole. So basically, your lines are gonna be crossed. So now we're gonna run both of our wires through our double pulley. You wanna make sure that each side that it's pointing towards is going to that top pulley. You want to make sure there's no binding in the line and that there is no crossings. So once you have that threaded through that pulley, you can start to thread it through your first pulley mounted out from the wall. So now you can take your second cable and thread it through the other side. So after you have the left side pulled through the double pulley, we're going to thread it through the farthest pulley from the wall. Now we can take the frame and attach it to our hoist. So you want to lay it down in front of the cable where we'll be attaching it. So now we can attach our front cable to this frontmost point, and we can use our provided hardware to put it first and then insert our cable through so that it lines in the inner lining of this. So once the cable is looped through that front hole, we can secure it with our clamps. Now the directions are going to provide you with a diagram. We're going to put one on each end and then one in the middle. You can thread on your nut and then tighten down your nuts with an 18mm deep socket. So once the front cable is on, I would recommend tightening up the cable so both sides are even. So what I do like about this hoist is that even though it is manually operated, because you're getting a mechanical advantage out of the pulleys, it is really easy to take your top off. So once you have tension on the front line, it will even out this back line, and we can install this exactly how we installed the front. You want to make sure to keep everything level that you mount this to the backmost point. Once your clamps are tightened down, then you're all set for hoisting. But before we get the hardtop under here, I would like to mention that at $250 right now, this is going to be your most affordable option for a manual crank pulley system. If you go a little bit up in price, you do see options that come with winches that may be a little bit more convenient for you. But if you wanted to keep it budget friendly and you wanted a more simpler option, we also have those available. But I think for $250, this is a high quality, solid option to lift your very expensive hardtop. Now let's get the hardtop under here so I can show you how to lift this up. So now that we have our hardtop underneath our hoist, we can go ahead and attach the hoist onto the hardtop. I would recommend to start in the back with the smart hook in the lift gate, and all you have to do is open that up and insert the smart hook in and carefully close the lift gate back down. After you carefully close that, you can slide this down. So this tab will prevent your gate from opening. And now we can move and adjust the front. Now that we have the back attached, we can hook up the front. After all your hooks are attached, we can attach our freedom panels. So you're just gonna lay these on top, and you might have to adjust your foam. And then you can use your provided bungee cord and your nylon strap with the grommet and attach those. So just make sure at this point that everything is disconnected from the back of your hardtop, and then you're ready for hoisting. So that's it for my review and install on the Lang Originals Crank Hoist-A-Top. For more videos like this, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.